There are many activists and activist groups that are out there pushing for the U.S. flag to no longer be a symbol of hate and racism used by those in the MAGA groups and Trumper groups, right? But to take it back and have every American be proud of the flag. I have a few things to say about that. Hang in there. Presently, myself, maybe yourself as well, when you see a United States flag on a raised truck, what do you think of? How about if you see it on a home displayed, right? At least for me, I think MAGA, I think Trumpers, I think insurrection, I think Southerners, I think married to their brother or their cousin. And just for some background, for those who may not have seen previous videos, I'm a registered independent in New Mexico that's called DTS, Declined to State. I previously, when I lived in Texas for many years, I was a registered and active Republican. So let's talk about the U.S. flags. Actually, let's talk about all the flags in the United States. Right, because every state has one, and then there's an official U.S. flag, and that flag has had many versions, right? Because all 50 states didn't all appear at once, and they didn't all join this Democratic Republic all at once. And the shapes of the states have changed over the years. And so if you're willing, and we see you, Hawaii, right, not in Alaska, not every state was, like willingly joined this republic. And so my feelings about the U.S. flag and the Confederate flag may be a little bit different than yours, but I just want you to know, I lived in the South, and my mother is an immigrant to this country. My father served as a Marine, and all of his brothers served during the Vietnam War, etc. So started out very, very proud of the flag, and we pledged to the flag. And in the morning, like I said, I was in Tennessee, they had scripture and they said a prayer after the announcements. That was every day in school. I was never taught that United States was the colonizer that it is, and I was taught that the Civil War was about state rights. I have since learned better, and here's a good article if you are interested in learning from NPR by the journalist Jessica Taylor. Some good information, but what we have been taught, or at least what I was taught about the Civil War, was a whitewashed version indeed. First myth was that it wasn't about owning human beings or having the right to have human beings as property, that it wasn't about the slaves, it was all about state rights, and that's myth number one. Along with that myth goes the fact that South Carolina, of course, seceded in 1860, made it official January 1861, and then it was soon followed by the 6 states, Mississippi, Florida, Georgia, Louisiana, and Texas, also in the beginnings of 1861, right? That they declared that they were going to be separate, right? And they put in there that it was about their rights, but rights to do what? It was their rights to own slaves. They wanted to have those human beings as slaves. So by the time Lincoln gets inaugurated in 1861, there was no way that the North was going to tell the South what to do as far as owning human beings and how they were going to make money, making money. third whitewashed fact that I now know is a myth is that the 1863 Emancipation Proclamation that Abraham Lincoln declares, I thought, oh, he's an abolitionist, he's anti-slavery, you know, go President Lincoln, the log cabin guy. Yeah, I since have learned that it really was a battle strategy because slavery is what financed the Civil War, and telling the South they could no longer own humans really was a shot at the bow for them financially, so they would not have financial means to continue with the Civil War. So check out what Abraham Lincoln wrote prior to the Emancipation Proclamation here. And when I learned that the geography of the states and what states were even included into the Republic, I mean, study the Missouri Compromise and look at all of that, right? Every state that came in had to be a balance between slave state and a non-slave state. Why? Because the United States was about slavery. Okay, so when we have the Indian Removal Act, what a horrific, that was the United States government, okay? That wasn't Spain, that wasn't England, that was the United States of America, okay? So the formation of this U.S. Democratic Republic had everything to do with slavery, had to do with our prejudice against anyone who's brown, red, black, non-white, non-Christian. It has everything, had everything to do with how we treat other human beings. And so the shapes of states, right? Oklahoma, Texas. Why does Oklahoma have that panhandle? Hello, Texas. And the slavery, yes, so it's all because of slavery. And if you really want to know about the geography of states, I'm gonna let Mr. Krim tell you about that, because he's an expert on that kind of stuff. By 1865, the Confederate States had experienced so many losses that they waved the little white flag and surrendered. Coincidentally, 1865 is the same year that those enslaved in Galveston, Texas, June 19th, 1865, they learned that they were set free 2 years before. And so the flag these people are holding up as the Confederate flag, it really wasn't even the flag that the Confederates fought and lost under. For me, the current Stars and Stripes U.S. flag that we currently use officially, that represents a democratic republic of 50 states and 16 U.S. territories. And by the way, the territories of these people, these human beings, they pay taxes to the United States, and they have no representation in the U.S. Congress. So that's also something that should be thought about when you think about the U.S. flag. Presently and currently, the U.S. is an occupier and a colonizer. The Confederate flag that is being used presently by white supremacist groups is an elongated version of the battle flag of the Army of Tennessee. And so the U.S. flag and that Confederate flag kind of mean the same to me. They're symbols of oppression. colonization, genocide, promises made but not kept. And so you can see here, it's no surprise, right? None of us were surprised on January 6, 2022, when we saw MAGA supporters storming the White House, alleging election fraud because their guy's a liar, but that we saw them holding, right, that Confederate flag, which is a symbol of tyranny, which was a symbol of rebellion. And that attempted coup in January 6, 2022, right, they were helped by current GOP elected officials in many states, including New Mexico with the fake electorate. And there were Confederate flags there that day. Why was that they felt so comfortable bringing Trump flags and Confederate flags and Nazi symbols along with the United States flag on that day that they were committing seditious treason? If you want to hold up the Stars and Stripes as some sort of righteous symbol for this country, be my guest, that is your right. I, however, am not going to be pledging any allegiance to any flag, my state or this country. How about instead we try to commit to being decent human beings, that we pledge to be kind, that we pledge to be positive contributors to our society, our community, our state, our neighborhoods, our country? How about we just pledge to be kind?